Evening, everyone. Welcome to the next revolution. Tonight, our focus is the next repudiation. But the people who are about to be repudiated say it's all too complicated for the poor, ignorant voters.
I think with all of the noise that we've got in this election season, I don't think people are able to really grasp that. But more importantly, I'm not sure they really understand the threats to their way of life.
Oh, yes, they do. They understand the threats to their way of life perfectly and will vote accordingly. They understand that 2 years ago, taking advantage of a corrupt, senile machine politician who was so desperate to be president he'd say or do anything, and a party whose leadership had completely lost itself to Trump derangement, a handful of far-left activists commandeered the Democratic Party and implemented an extremist agenda on every issue. On the economy, they pushed the Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren lunacy of modern monetary theory, the idea that the government can print and spend as much money as it wants with no repercussions. It was a catastrophic mistake. They wrecked a rebounding economy. The worst inflation in 40 years, the worst Labour participation in 45 years. Now, in response, rising interest rates and a looming recession. The Democrats' climate zealotry threw away our energy independence, destroyed jobs, destabilized our economy and the world's security. Now, in response, they loot our oil reserves for an election bribe and go begging to the world's worst dictators. These hard-left Democrats pushed the reckless insanity of open borders, making a mockery of the rule of law, insulting every American immigrant who did it the right way, creating an unprecedented humanitarian crisis, poisoning tens of thousands of Americans with fentanyl that could and should have been stopped, threatening every family in America with the unimaginable pain of losing a child to lethal drugs they never intended to take, but which, thanks to the Democrats, could now just pop up in any community. Shame on them for this. Shame on them for the crime they've caused. Criminal justice reform. My God, they took an important idea and ran it all the way to the far left, plunging America into chaos, violence, and fear. These Democrats who lectured us on competence and good governance then gave us dead Marines in Afghanistan and desperate parents in the richest nation in the history of the world unable to find food for their babies.
It goes to my fundamental grievance with my damn party. We're getting crushed on narrative.
That's your grievance, your narrative. Americans are cursing your damn party, all right, but not because of its messaging, because of its actions, its policies, and their results. That's why this election is shaping up to be a glorious and comprehensive repudiation of the sanctimonious, self-righteous, shallow, virtue-signaling, utterly incompetent ideologues who took our country for a joyride and crashed it into the ditch. A repudiation of the pathetic Democrat lapdogs in the media who've been totally complicit in this shambolic, destructive experiment, and now a repudiation of their appalling, divisive, irresponsible histrionics about the end of democracy if they lose.
But there's something else at stake. Democracy itself. Democracy is on the ballot this year.
No, it isn't, you ridiculous old fool. Democracy's not on the ballot. Democracy is the ballot. All these speeches about protecting democracy, they're so obviously just attempts to protect Democrats from democracy. If they really cared about our democracy, they'd stop their gerrymandering, their election denying, their constitution defying, and their seemingly endless assaults on free speech. Biden's so far gone, he's now trying to claim that the definition of democracy is voting Democrat. That's the exact opposite of democracy. That's totalitarianism. But this is how they talk now. Like this demented nutjob, Beschloss. You have to ask, was this a deep fake?
We could be 6 days away from losing our rule of law if historians are allowed to write in this country, and if there are still free publishing houses and a free press, which I'm not certain of. But if that is true, a historian will say what was at stake tonight and this week was the fact whether we will be a democracy in the future, whether our children will be arrested and conceivably killed. We're on the edge of a brutal authoritarian system, and it could be a week away.
But no, it's not a deep fake. That was real. They have completely lost the plot. The once respected James Clyburn, after last week admitting that their spending caused their inflation, this week descending into rabid conspiracy theories with the kooks and the crazies, claiming America would be like Nazi Germany if Republicans win the midterms. Yeah, just in the last few days, they've compared Republican voters to Nazis and cockroaches. So that's what's going to be repudiated too, the left's rhetoric of hate and division. And don't forget their lockdowns. As they beg for a pandemic amnesty, tell them no. They masked your kids, closed your schools, shut down your business. Tell them what you think. They wrecked your economy, doubled your gas prices, opened your border, unleashed violent crime on your streets. Tell them what you think. They insult you, smear you, threaten you, silence you. And then they try to divide us. Tell them what you think. Tell them what you think of the lies and the gaslighting, the incompetence and corruption, the failure they've brought, the pain they've caused, the feeble embarrassment in the Oval Office and all the rotten crew. Tell them what you think and make sure you vote. That is the next repudiation we need.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.